Welcome to Working Progress. This is the podcast where we dive into strategies for success and journey towards progress. In today's episode on the power of continuous learning, we are joined by Suzanne Dmuchoski, Director of Learning and Certification here at TTI Success Insights. With over 20 years of experience in learning and development, Suzanne has dedicated her career to helping people grow through practical, impactful learning strategies. She brings a wealth of knowledge and a true passion for lifelong learning. We will dive into why continuous learning is essential not only for personal and professional growth, but also for business success. We'll hear how leaders can adapt in a changing market. We'll also learn about the role certifications play in building credibility and even tips for making learning a part of everyday culture at work. Suzanne will share insights that are both inspiring and actionable. So let's jump in and explore how continuous learning can fuel your business and your career. So Suzanne, Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's my first podcast.
It's your very first podcast.
Yes, I'm a big fan, Shauna. Fan of your podcast.
Thank you. Well, let's rip off the Band-Aid with your first podcast question. And can you share a little bit about your background and what does continuous learning mean to you?
Good question. So I wanted to share a little bit of a funny story. So I don't know if anybody else had this experience growing up, but I did grow up with a mother who was a teacher through her whole career.
Wow.
And as it was becoming time for both my sister and I to go away to college, she said, "Your father and I will pay for college as long as you don't become a teacher." And it wasn't because she did not have a passion for what she did. She just, knew the tough road that teaching is. So both of us chose different career paths going in. I think I started with gusto into psychology and then pivoted to business, which is what I ended on. And my sister actually went into pre-dentistry. But the ironic piece of it is both of us found our way to education somehow. Okay. My sister actually received a master's degree in education, in English education. Wow. And I actually found learning through psychology. So my master's degree is in psychology. And what I really loved focusing on and the stuff that just kind of fired me up as I was learning was, learning about our cognitive abilities to bring in more information and how that actually works in the brain and different sort of tips and tricks that we can use to make sure that things stick. I thought it was really fascinating, the differences between teaching children and teaching adults. Okay. And so I really just kind of stayed on that path. As far as a career goes, I came to that organically through higher education. And then found my niche kind of in continuous learning. So I actually was an assistant dean in the College of Education, and they wanted to start to provide programs for teachers because obviously there are a certain amount of learning hours that they need to do to maintain their certification. And I was kind of placed in charge of creating a program for that. And I just thought it was fabulous. I mean, it was just a way to kind of provide shorter bursts of learning, truly applicable learning. We weren't talking about doing some of our core studies that you do at the beginning part of your college career. So we had people that were going to be able to turn this around and apply it. So I would always challenge myself to make sure that what we were creating is something that was really usable. And the other fascinating thing that I found with adults is you have to tell them why they're learning. You have to convince them. Yeah. You have to convince them. I don't think that people understand the power of authority for children in learning, and that if your teacher tells you to do something, you typically do it. You do it. Yeah. Unless, you're one of those rebels. But I just found that whole concept of how adults learn and the ability that we really should continue to learn throughout our lives to enrich our lives. Very fascinating. So once I found that, and that was, oh my gosh, when you said 20 years, I'm like, oh, it's true. So I have just stuck with that. I found TTI years ago, and I just thought, what a cool way to marry my background in psychology.
Absolutely.
With learning theory and things like that. And I honestly, I think it's very selfish that I'm in learning because I love to learn. And so it gives me an opportunity with every lesson that we create, with everything that we teach, I get to learn along with everybody too. So that has served me well throughout my career.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So you truly are happy in your career path.
Yes.
And that's what we teach here, right?
One of the lucky ones. Yes. I definitely found my passion, and I luckily get to make a little money doing it too.
Hey, that's even better.
Yeah.
So why do you believe that continuous learning is so essential for long-term business and career success?
I mean, it is the epitome of long-term and career success. You have to stay relevant. Mm-hmm. And the only way to keep yourself relevant really is to bring on new and emerging information.
Yep.
So, things, goodness, I mean, I'm just thinking through all of these things. AI always seems to pop up, and it's one of those things that we're all hustling to learn right now because it just, started with a bang and has started so quickly. And I think the only way that you can, truly stay ahead of the curve, or even keep up with the curve nowadays, is to find some type of outlet or find some type of way to advance your knowledge, whether it's within your specific industry or within your specific role, or if it's just finding ways to learn something new every day to enrich your life. So I think, as far as business success goes, it for organizations to offer continuous learning outlets for their employees, first of all, that's a perk. And people don't realize that all of the time. There are a lot of people, the majority of us do want to continue to improve ourselves. So it's a huge perk that an organization is able to offer to their employees. And it's just, we never kind of know what's coming around the corner. And when it comes to technology, when it comes to new ways of doing things. Yep. And one way to just make sure that you're ready to adapt to that is through continuous learning.
Yep. So what I'm hearing is that ongoing education really allows for a leader to adapt better, to change, because as to your point, everything is changing. Yeah. Nothing is staying the same, especially in today's market.
Yeah.
So that is really helpful to our leaders. Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
Yes.
So for TTI partners that are listening, what are some of the biggest business benefits that they can share with their clients when it comes to selling certifications and training? So what are some of the biggest benefits, really?
Some of the biggest benefits of attending our training and becoming certified for our clients, honestly, the rally cry to the partners is, oh my goodness, like get yourself some advocates out there. And one of the best ways is to instill confidence in those people in utilizing the tools and being able to apply those tools. And you do that through training them. You and I both know, I warned you I'd throw some questions back at you too. During the training process, there are a lot of aha moments, especially when it comes, just to terminology. Yes. Every once in a while, we talk about utility, or we throw out a term that has a very specific meaning within the context of the science. And all of those little gems are what they're going to uncover. And all of those just, instill that confidence in that client to then take that and utilize that language within the organization. And it just becomes really sticky. And in this case, we love the word sticky. Not always on our fingers, but it just becomes really sticky, and you start to see that, it infiltrates and starts to build a culture of, good communication because they're utilizing the tools appropriately. To me, another reason for their clients is they may even uncover another way to apply
Yes.
these tools within their organization that the partner going in may not, be as attuned to. So they're just giving them another opportunity to find out, like, hey, we had this whole group take this assessment. Is there any way that we could use it to, to find the next best leader of this department, or, there's so many different ways, or to improve our communication, or to, complete these projects more efficiently. And they're the ones that have that insider knowledge. But truly, that client experience of coming through, just what we have seen, it enriches those relationships that our partners have with their clients. And it really allows them to do even more good in working with the organizations that they're in. So certification really, really is key. I always say, you kind of go in for the potential little gold nuggets, but you find yourself truly enjoying a good, engaging experience. It's the same for our clients, just as it is for our partners.
Absolutely. It's really developing that language.
Yes.
So anybody can read anything, anybody can go and watch videos, but that training really gives you that in person.
Yes.
And it also depends on how people learn as well, right? I mean, some people, that's all they need.
Yeah.
Give me a book and I'm ready to go. Yeah. That's you. But for me,
yes,
I don't want to read a book. I want to go. I want to sit in that training, and I want to ask specific questions and listen to how somebody else is interpreting.
It comes to life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So could you share an example of where continuous learning directly impacted your business growth, or even opened up a new opportunity for you?
Where has it not is probably one of the best answers for that. I really am somebody who, talking about 12 driving forces as probably no surprise to many listening. My primary is an intellectual driver, but not to discount my instinctive folks. I know. So I am always seeking out, ways to learn, but also seeking out ways to then apply that learning. And so I think, for me, it's not unusual to just go out and gather. And then I kind of have this nice reserve of information that I've been able to find, like, oh, normally I wouldn't be able to answer that question, or normally I wouldn't feel like I'm in a position to give an opinion on that. But because I'm sort of pulling from a reserve of this, this knowledge that I've banked, it's just provided me with the confidence to speak with a little bit more authority on different things, specifically, in the business world. I also, again, going back to, my goodness, AI, is that this podcast is just going to become a continuous learning and AI podcast.
That's okay.
But to go back to AI, I have to admit I'm, a woman of a certain age. Technology, I've never been an early adopter of technology, but I always find myself kind of utilizing it. So I've challenged myself to really dive in and see what's available to me, because I'm looking at my team. I want to do best by my learning and certifications team here at TTI, which is relatively small, and it's kind of like, we have big dreams. How do we do more without more resources necessarily? And so I said, I think this AI thing is on to something. So I've challenged myself to learn it, but I have to learn it in a way that works for me. And that really is, I will read about it, but also just utilizing it and kind of peppering it in day to day, and kind of sharing some ideas in there, and seeing if it can provide something. We're already humanizing it.
That's
it's
okay.
Scary. See if it's able to provide, even bigger and better ways to do it. And already I'm seeing so much opportunity for us to be able to work a little bit faster, for us to be a little bit more efficient. And it's really going to allow the learning and certifications team to support the larger organization at TTI by leveraging some of that technology. And I have to learn it in order to use it, because for somebody like me, and an intellectually driven individual, I'm not going to use it till I know everything about it. And so I'm having constant meetings with people that are a little bit more familiar. But back to the question, I just can't imagine my world without the ability to learn something new every day.
Okay.
I walk into every situation. I never, I think, I'm so glad I'm not a person that ever thinks of myself as the smartest person in the room.
Yeah.
I think every conversation is an opportunity to learn something new. Every meeting is an opportunity to learn something new. And I fully take advantage of that and have through my whole career.
It's a good way to look at things. So then what are some practical ways for anybody, partners, anybody listening, that they can incorporate learning in their everyday workplace culture? So you talked about AI and how that's a new learning tool. We also have the internet, which has been our big place for going out and getting resources. We used to go to libraries and read books.
Yes.
So what are some practical ways? Because there are lots of them. So what are some of the ways that we can incorporate that?
I think especially for somebody who doesn't have learning at the forefront of their mind, and they kind of, perhaps they are strapped for time. We have very busy individuals within our partner network as well as here. But I always say it's just so gosh darn important to make that time. And it can be small. One of the best developments that we've had within the learning industry in recent years are micro learnings. We've realized that it doesn't always make sense to completely put your life on pause and then walk into a learning situation where you're locked in a room with 12 other people that are all sitting in class listening to a teacher. It's just, it's not conducive to our lifestyles anymore. So micro learnings are great. And so many of them are available online for free. Funnily, you mentioned the library. You can find a lot of those things through the library. The library is so hip now. Kids these days are really missing out.
They're lucky.
They're not going to their local library because many libraries have LinkedIn Learning free. You can have free usage of LinkedIn Learning, which just is a wealth of knowledge. But I really think that, like I mentioned before, especially for those people that are like, development is great, but I'm busy. Challenge yourself to then learn something like that in that next meeting that you're walking into. Challenge yourself to make a point to learn at least one new thing from that person and make a note of it. Like start to realize how much learning you're actually doing just in everyday situations. And then once you start to get excited about that and you're banking that information, you'll start to see that, I'm going to, seek out, maybe read a whole article online and not just the headline. It's a novel idea. It's very difficult for some of us. I even find myself doing that every once in a while too. But if you get caught by a headline, read the rest of the information. Somebody took the time to write that down and you just might get that gold nugget that you're looking for. And it can really be as simple as, if you've got some time in front of the television, choose a documentary. Perhaps. And there are a lot of them that will help you, in your business today. They don't all have to be crime dramas. That's, where my heart is. But just seek out some of those, in your everyday life, there's that opportunity just to kind of step that up. And then once that becomes a regular occurrence, the best thing really to do is to carve out that time and be very focused on it. So I know not only for myself, but for my team. And trust me, I want my team to get all of their work done and it's hard to do, but I make a point to tell them to prioritize their development. They have a free hour each week. It's not a ton of time, but there's so much that they can find within that hour. But I give them an hour, no questions asked I just want them to work on something that will, either provide information that they can apply towards their job. It might even be, a personal growth opportunity that they're looking for. But I just want them to set that time aside to learn. But truly, there are just opportunities everywhere to learn something new, but we're not always realizing it. So I think that first step is just to maybe take a snapshot or take a mental note of, you know what, I didn't know that before I walked into this room. And once you start to bank some of those, you start to build that muscle and you build that excitement for learning. We work out our bodies. We don't expect our bodies to look great by just sitting in a chair and eating whatever we want to. We also need to work out our minds if we don't, kind of want this world to pass us by. So I think it's important to set aside specific time for continuous learning.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't necessarily, like you said, have to be job related.
No,
it can
absolutely
go
not.
Learn how to crochet or paint or something like that. There's learning opportunities.
You're
in
making
everything.
connections in your brain, and that, especially having some type of creative outlet like you just mentioned, you would be surprised at how that can then translate into a situation you might find yourself in, sitting in front of a client, even if it's just, oh my goodness, I see that you have this beautiful blanket here. Like, I've been working on something like that, and it allows you to make a connection.
Yes.
Learning is more than, what you can learn can really assist you more in just the exact application of what you've learned. Yeah.
Book smart versus street smart, those types of things. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So how do certifications like those from the new TTI University play into building credibility and trust with clients?
So our certifications, we work very hard at making sure that we set everybody up with the theory. We have application-based learning, all as part of that certification process. Of course, there's an exam. Everybody loves it. I will say it here today. No more essays, everybody. So if you have been holding out on taking your exam because you have a little bit of exam, anxiety, we have removed a big barrier, which are the essays. Now, I'm not saying the exams are easier. I'm just saying you don't have to write out a full essay. We did a great job of kind of switching some of those things to a little bit more scenario-based. But all of that to say, there is both an inherent and also a perceived value that comes along with having something behind a certification. Yep. It is that stamp of approval, from us through TTI that we've got your back. We know that, everything that you are saying out there to your clients is accurate to the best of your ability. And we want our whole network to have that level of confidence in each other so that, somebody doesn't come in behind maybe an uncertified individual and have to clean anything up. So for us, it allows, a great network baseline, a confidence in the network. Again, talking about confidence. Training really, and a lot of development really is about developing confidence in what it is. So that will, help you have some of those harder conversations sitting in front of a client. And, you feel a little bit better about being able to answer anything that they might ask you. So that's for TTI certifications. I mean, I cannot stress enough, we would not be wasting our time putting those out there if we didn't truly believe that they offered value. I was reminded of this from Charisse Priest, that we did do a study years ago and did find that our partners that go through the certification process are selling more assessments.
Wow.
I probably should have had the exact percentage number. So you're just going to have to trust me on this.
Okay,
and I think that we should do another study, an updated study. And of course, that is not to discount any of our, more instinctive individuals that want to hit the ground running. You obviously can have a level of success, but why not power it up and just go out there with that confidence of being a certified user? And that's, we pride ourselves in that along the same lines as, our SHRM certified users, our ICF certified users, and things like that. There's a reason why, we have that stamp of approval, or we really do feel like there's a strong value within certifications.
Well, even if we talk about having doctor or a JD behind
Right.
somebody's name. That
Yeah.
builds a little
Doesn't
bit
that
more.
it gives
you a little,
it gives you quite a bit of cred.
trust that person.
Yeah, eventually we will start to, my dream is that, we start to have these relationships with organizations throughout many different industries, and they are proud to be a TTI organization.
Love it.
And that just means, that one of our partners has gone in there, they have done their magic, they have utilized our assessments, and that culture is built around the power of TTI. So, and you can do that, and you can learn how to do that if you come to our certification courses.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
So what advice would you give to somebody like me, maybe?
Sure.
I'm just too busy. We talked about those micro learnings, but
Yes.
even I sit and go, oh,
I know.
micro learnings. How long does that? What would you say? How can they really invest in their own development when, we're busy. Everybody's
We
busy
are.
right now. So
I
what are
know.
some things that you have seen that are helpful?
I would say that you need to set a goal, and not a goal necessarily around learning. Look at your goals that you have for yourself and for your career, and then do a little gap analysis and say, do I have everything in my tool bag right now that will allow me to achieve those goals? Or is there something that I might be able to learn, or some, knowledge that I might be able to take on that's going to help me reach that goal? So if you're struggling, motivating of just like, oh, I'm going to get on and do my Duolingo for 5 minutes or whatever it might be, and you're not really caring, and you don't have necessarily a trip planned that you're going to utilize the language, that does make it harder. But if you can align what you are learning directly to a goal that you have for yourself. So if you are, wanting to be a keynote speaker, and that's just been a dream of yours and one of your, not mine, but somebody out there has that goal. What can you do? What type of development can you do that can just, you can see yourself incrementally getting closer and closer to that goal. So you need to have some type of outcome to motivate yourself, which is, and then sometimes magically, Shauna, the time just opens itself up. But don't discount the learning that you can get out of everyday situations. There is definitely still a place for going into the classroom and having that experience and removing barriers to opening your mind to bringing in the information. But again, just I know every Tuesday I sit in a conference room with a group of executives, and my goal is always to learn something new from them. And so that's my time. And like I said, because that helps me align with the goal that I have of working here at TTI and the type of, employee and leader that I want to be here. I want to learn from those other leaders. So I take advantage of that time. I stay engaged in that time. And I make sure that I pull out nuggets. And like I said, I bank that information, or I make a note of that information. But also, I'd be lying if I said that's the only time I make for learning. But I think it's just, if you can align it with another goal that you have, perhaps even if you have a physical goal, we talked about exercising your body too, reading up on nutrition and learning about nutrition is going to help you reach those goals that much faster. So once it aligns with something that you're already truly motivated to do, the time opens up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Last question.
Okay.
If somebody's ready to start their journey today, where should they start?
Ooh. I'm going to go back a little bit to the last answer and set a goal for yourself. And don't make it huge. Make it attainable, because sometimes we just are like, every New Year's Eve, which I love a solid New Year's resolution, but set yourself a small, attainable goal with a short timeline. and work towards that. Because, like you said, just sitting down and being kind of like, even though they're micro learnings, it's like, I got to get a user to do LinkedIn Learning or Udemy, or I've got to go on to TTI University and I'm going to sit down and take these classes. But what's the outcome that you're looking for in doing that, and work towards that? But make it short, make it attainable, and then celebrate, the crap out of yourself once you get there.
The little wins.
The little wins.
Okay.
Make sure you celebrate the little wins and give yourself credit for the challenge that you've put in front of yourself. But I think, that's just something that's going to get you started. You need to find something that you're passionate about, because like we mentioned, I am such an advocate for continuous learning. Yes, I want you to come to, TTI University and take our courses, and I want you to take our facilitated courses, but also I just want people to want better for themselves. And a lot of people will find that they can find that through making a plan to learn.
Love it.
Yeah.
So set those little goals.
Little goals.
And celebrate the little wins.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, that's a wrap on our conversation of the power of continuous learning. A big thank you to you, Suzanne, for sharing your expertise, your perspective, and your passion. Your passion for growth and development is a reminder that investing in ourselves is one of the best investments we can make for our careers, for our businesses, and also for the people that we serve. If you are ready to take the next steps in your own learning journey, please explore the certifications and trainings that are available at TTI University by contacting our support team at support@ttiltd.com. That's support@ttiltd.com. And if you found today's episode valuable, we would love for you to subscribe, leave a review, or just share it with your fellow colleague or leader. Your support helps us continue to bring these powerful conversations to life. And remember, whether you're looking to expand your skills, better your support for your clients, or build credibility in your market, continuous learning is the key to unlocking long-term success. As always, thank you for listening. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep making progress. Take care, everyone.